I failed my run. I prioritized the job over my fitness.
I think this is a senior E7. Your job should be 6:30 to 7:30 PT, an hour straight.
This is why Timmy doesn't have PTSD, because if a guy made a kill for me today, that night we're having drinks, and on the spot I told him, this is exactly what I expect you to do. You did a great job. Fucking end of discussion. As your boss, I'm gonna cut off the shirt and we're gonna look at your fucking shot placement, because marksmanship is my problem, not yours.
It is a very unorthodox way of doing business.
Army Major Stephen Ramsbottom was at his desk at this U.S. tactical post in Kuwait when an Iranian drone crashed through his makeshift workspace.
But we had no overhead protection. We had a tin roof. That was all we had.
You're telling me that you can't figure out how to grab a couple of soldiers and fill some freaking sandbags and fortify your position? You're supposed to do all of that. I learned all of that as a private. And here you are, a major, bitching on CBS about how you were left to defend for yourself. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Green Beret Chronicles show. Hopefully you're doing well wherever you're at. Today we are going to cover several different topics, to include a buddy of mine sent me a video about a chunky fella who failed his APFT and is now taking a TikTok to share it with everybody, right? We'll talk about that one. I'll give you guys my 2 cents. And then, guys, we're going to transition into another clip about how Shrek McPhee makes sure his guys don't have to deal with PTSD. Bizarre clip. I'm going to share with you guys, give you guys my 2 cents, and then we'll go from there. And then I found a clip about the attack that took place in Kuwait. And some of those service members are on CBS and they're making the news run talking about what took place and what happened and how it could have been done better, etc., etc. I'm gonna share that clip with you guys and then give you guys my 2 cents, right? Guys, if this is your first time watching me, my name is Jay Dorleus, retired U.S. Army Green Beret, and the intent behind this channel is to coach and mentor the next generation of warfighters. And I do this by finding unique things to discuss that I can add my 2 cents to, give you guys my opinion, and hopefully you watching it out there, it adds some value to your life. So if that's happening, guys, subscribe to the channel, share it, greatly appreciated. With all that said, guys, let's check out the first clip from this chunky fella about how he failed his APFT and now sharing it with the world. Let's take a listen.
So full transparency, I failed my run. I failed about a lot too, like a minute and damn near 2 minutes. And no excuses, nobody to blame. I can't blame the weather, I can't blame the time, I can't blame my back hurting, I can't blame my legs. All I can blame is myself.
I think this is a senior E7. Senior E7 in the United States military. This morning, my buddy sent me a text message and the text read, "Hey, did you see this? This guy is embarrassing us and making us look bad." Now, I took this 2 separate ways. Is he embarrassing us and making us look bad as a senior non-commissioned officer, an E7 in these United States Army? Or is he embarrassing us and making us look bad from a African-American, a black dude's perspective? And I've internalized it through both lenses. Man, as a senior non-commissioned officer, as the standard bearer, you're the one telling soldiers, you're the one in charge of physical fitness. Based on what job you're doing in the military, you are responsible for making sure soldiers are ready to go to war and that they are physically fit and capable of carrying out their duties. That is your sole responsibility as a enlisted guy, is to train and mentor soldiers. But yet you can't meet the bare minimum. What does that say about you as a leader? But instead, you're on TikTok making videos. Instead of doing sit-ups, push-ups, running. You prioritize that over what you're getting paid to do. Man, I remember when I joined the military as a young private and I went to basic, like I was awestruck. I was like, wait, you're telling me I get paid to work out and shoot guns? That's what I'm getting paid to do? I was in heaven because I did that stuff anyways. It's a way of life. Let's keep listening.
The job, I prioritized the job over my fitness. I just let myself go.
But the job is fitness, right? The job is soldier. It says it on your shirt, Army. That is the job.
And that's just what it is, man. And I'm only being transparent, man, because these are the type of things that y'all got to see. Y'all got to be able to see that there are senior leaders that fail sometimes. There are senior leaders that slack and just, fail.
I think what we need to see are senior leaders that looks the part and are doing their job. Senior leaders that are crushing their APFT. Man, I was in the military for 20 plus years. Never failed an APFT in my life. And I took an APFT as an E8. I was an E8 getting ready to go to MLC, Master's Leaders Course, and I had to take an APFT. I took an APFT as a Pen E8 getting ready to take a team. My company sergeant major gave me an APFT to make sure that I was fit to be able to lead a group of dudes on my Special Forces ODA as a team sergeant. I took an APFT. Never felt one in my life. And I can only imagine just the disgrace that I would feel if, as a senior leader leading monsters in combat, if I fail to pass a standard that I now have to hold them to. Like, man, I can't even say shit. Hey, do push-ups, do sit-ups. They don't look at me like, dude, you fail your freaking APFT. Like, who are you to tell me to do? I might know, you go do it. And they'll all be right within their rights to tell me that. Because I can't reinforce the standards if I can't meet the standards. Let's finish this video.
The same way a specialist or a private gotta live with that failure, I gotta live with that failure. I gotta put that flag in the system. I gotta do all these things, and I gotta get back on my shit. So I'm just showing y'all that this is the reality, man. Everything ain't a success. Sometimes shit just is what it is, man. So I needed to see this so that that fire can be put back on my ass, so I can see, like, boy, you gotta prioritize you before the job. The job gonna be there, with them scores and all that type of stuff, man. That's a burden on you. For real, that is a ugly scar to wear.
Now, what job is he talking about? I don't understand it. Maybe this dude is a paper pusher, or he sits behind it. Like, I don't understand what job he's talking about. Does he have like a job working at Lowe's? Guys, it's hard for me to understand this, because your job is to be a soldier 24/7. If you're an admin clerk and you're sitting in a building and somebody comes through there with a freaking gun, and they're not gonna look at you and say, oh, you're a paper pusher. No, you have that United States Army uniform on. You're a soldier first. You're wearing this shit on TikTok representing the United States Army. Quit saying the job is a priority. Your job should be 6:30 to 7:30 PT, an hour straight. Then you take breakfast. Then you go to the office at 9 and you start working. PT should always be uppermost in your mind, because at the end of the day, the job is all encompassing. Discipline is all encompassing. And as a senior leader, that is your responsibility. You should look the part at all times. And that goes for more than just this dude. That goes for everybody that is in your leadership role but looks like crap and can't pass a PT test. Let me know what you guys think about this one, guys. Like I said, the video was sent to me and I just had to give you guys my 2 cents on it. Let me know what you think about this senior chubby fella in the comment section, right? Before we get into it, guys, also this show is sponsored by Level 3 Coffee, right? Fascinated by the covert world of special operations. After I retired, guys, I decided to jump on a plane and go to some of the places that I only used to read about in intelligence report. And my first stop, guys, Colombia, right? So I have 4 different brews right here out of Colombia, and I'm taking a camera crew with me. I'm capturing all the footages, and I want to share that experience with you guys, right? So whenever you support me, guys, on the back of the coffee bag, there's a QR code. You can scan that and you'll go on that journey with me, right? Level3coffee.com, guys. Check it out and let me know what you think. Now let's transition into another clip from John Shrek McPhee about how he handles PTSD with his guys. It blew my mind when I heard this one, guys. Let's take a listen.
This is why Timmy doesn't have PTSD, or no one that's ever worked for me. Because if a guy made a kill for me today, that night we're having drinks, and on the spot I told him, this is exactly what I expect you to do. You did a great job. Fucking end of discussion. As your boss, I'm gonna cut off the shirt and we're gonna look at your fucking shot placement, because marksmanship is my problem, not yours. But let's go look at those shots. And I check fucking bullet holes all the time. No shit.
Did you guys hear that shit? He checks bullet holes all the time, right? Meaning we're on target, we're doing work, we're clearing houses, and we're doing all this shit. If I, as a member of his guys, take shots into a dude, like once we get to a place where everything makes sense, we're tearing off the shirt and we're checking bullet placement to make sure, right, we're in that kill zone, right? We're in the A, right? We're in that T is what he's talking about. And based on his feedback, that has helped dudes. Let's keep listening.
Fuck yeah, I'm in charge of the marksmanship here. If we're fucking this up right now, this shit's fucked up. We need to fix it right now.
So you would go on target, cut all the shirts off.
When I had chances, yeah, I'd show the guys their shots. And I'd tell them they did a great job on the spot. And when we got back later, I'd make sure we all had a drink and everybody came by and fucking said thank you and shook this guy's hand.
What are you guys' thoughts about how John Shrek McPhee handles business? And according to him, When he does that, PTSD doesn't exist in any one of his dudes. I've never heard of this method in my life. I've never seen it done. I've never even thought about doing something like that. And hell, who knows if it actually works? It is a very unorthodox way of doing business, right? You shoot somebody, hey, Senior Bravo, like, hey, these are your shot placements. I need you to, hey, we need to modify that POI to make sure you're hot shit. I get it, right? Because as a team sergeant, it was my job to train the guys on how to move, shoot, communicate, medicate. It was part of my job, so I get it 100%. Like I said, I've never heard or met anyone that's done that. What are you guys' thoughts about how John Shrek McPhee handled business to make sure that his guys don't essentially have to deal with PTSD and all this other crap, right? Eager to hear you guys' feedback on this one. With all that said, guys, let's check out the last clip. This one really grinds my gears, right? Because it showcased people passing on blame as opposed to taking their responsibility for what they've done. Let's take a listen to this.
In March, an Iranian drone hit a U.S. military post in Kuwait, killing 6 service members and wounding more than 20 others. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said the drone squirted through the defenses of the fortified base. Well, now we're hearing from more survivors who are sharing a very different story with our Jonah Kaplan. Jonah, good morning.
Good morning, Nora. Last month we reported on how a key U.S. command post in Kuwait was left unprotected, despite intelligence showing it was a potential target for an Iranian drone. Now more soldiers who survived are speaking out, telling us the Army did not properly plan for possible casualties, and the consequences were deadly. Why are you coming forward?
This was a failure. The only way you learn from your failures is you talk about it.
Army Major Stephen Ramsbottom was at his desk at this U.S. tactical post in Kuwait when an Iranian drone crashed through his makeshift workspace.
It went black, and I got knocked to the ground.
With a piece of shrapnel lodged in the back of his head, Ramsbottom says he began pulling his fellow soldiers from the rubble.
I wanted to see like a line of ambulances coming towards us or something, and there wasn't that. It was like, oh man, we're on our own.
2 other soldiers told CBS News they asked for more medical support weeks before, but Army leadership ignored the request. The strike killed 6 U.S. soldiers, all from the Iowa-based 103rd Sustainment Command. Ramsbottom says one of them, Master Sergeant Nicole Amer, could have survived her wounds had there been a doctor, a fixed aid station, or more than one ambulance at the post.
She fought the whole way, and she was trying to stay alive.
You think that had there been an ambulance, adequate medical attention, she'd still be alive?
I think she could have been saved.
She was like my yin and yang.
Master Sergeant Anne-Marie Carrier was right next to Amer when the drone hit.
I instantly started screaming her name.
Soldiers commandeered vans and scrambled to find the nearest Kuwaiti hospital. Carrier says her best friend was still breathing as they set out for help. Shortly after arriving at the hospital, Amer died.
Was the Army prepared for a mass casualty event like this?
No, we didn't have any training for that.
The attack was the deadliest against U.S. troops since 2021. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said this the day after.
It happened to hit a tactical operations center that was fortified, but these are powerful weapons.
But Ramsbottom is one of 8 surviving soldiers who told CBS News something different.
We had no overhead protection. We had a tin roof. That was all we had.
Now, I wanted to showcase this clip, guys, because, again, as I'm listening to this, I can't help but scratch my head and just think, like, what are these people freaking doing? Like, you have a major and a bunch of other senior enlisted people on CBS News talking about how they were ill-equipped, how they were sitting ducks. What are you talking about, man? Like, you're a soldier in the United States Army. As a private, I learned to improve my foxhole. You're forward deploy. You have a tin roof over your head. You're telling me that you can't figure out how to grab a couple of soldiers and fill some freaking sandbags and fortify your position? You know that we're going to war with Iran, and you know that drones are a big thing. You telling me that as a major, as a sergeant major, as a first sergeant, as an E7, you can't come up with a plan for mass cal? You can't go out and find ambulances? You can't go into the local economy? You can't send people out to go talk to the hospitals to make sure that you have everything you need? But yet it's the Army's fault. You are the Army. Like, what are you talking about? Who was supposed to get all that stuff done for you? Who? The captain that works below you, the E7s, the first sergeant, all the people that work under you. If you didn't do it, who was supposed to do it? Is what I'm trying to understand as I'm listening to these people talk on CBS News about how they were ill-equipped, didn't have the right equipment. Like, whose job was it? You're a major in the United States Army. It's your job to find that first sergeant, to find that sergeant major and say, hey, check it out. We got a conflict going on. We're sitting ducks. We need to fortify this position, right? We need sandbags over here. Hey, get the medic. Have them go out to the local economy, find some ambulances, get some connections going on, because if something happens, we need to be able to react, right? It's your job. You should be doing that. Not going along just to get along and then something happens and you blame it on the Army, which by definition, the Army is just a name. The people in it is who makes up that organization. And guess what? You are in the Army. So it's by definition your fault. You are deployed there. You are supposed to fortify that position. You're supposed to lead. You're supposed to tell people what to do. You're supposed to have a plan in place. You're supposed to plan medical. You're supposed to fortify your position. You're supposed to do all of that. I learned all of that as a private. And here you are, a major, bitching on CBS about how you were left to defend for yourself and you didn't have this and you didn't have that, right? Blew my mind when I heard all of that, guys. But I wanted to play that clip for you guys just because I thought it was a good teaching moment. The Army or your leaders, they can only do so much. You as a leader also need to do your part and lead and do the basics, so you and the soldiers underneath you can have a chance of survival. But yeah, I just wanted to share that clip with you guys, give you my 2 cents. What do you guys think about what this major is doing and what he's saying? Does it make sense to you guys? Appreciate you guys tuning in to this segment of the Green Beret Chronicles show. Appreciate you guys watching, and until next time, folks, take care of yourself.